Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simulation Talk 240. Beautiful round number. What's up, Chris and Guru and Limbo? Oh, and Terry's here. How are you, brother? Val is in the house. Wait, let's see what's going on. Craziest time loop day before last when listening. Could fast forward live TV. I did it with the stream. Another in Fox News. Oh, that happened to me before. It is kind of freaky. With the molecule or sub ballin. Also, you absolutely should post about your experience, Limbo. And oh, that's congratulations, Guru. I'm happy that you get your bonus, and I appreciate you willing to purchase the shirt and the mug. That would definitely help the project. Charlie, how are you, brother? No molecule. Okay, that's wild. What's up, Jakai? Wait, Jackie? What? Jakai. Jessica. Microscope and laser testing, absolutely. Please do. So, I mean, just by yourself, that's kind of wild, Val. That is insane. Did it ever happen to you before? You're bending the simulation, clearly. Half of the room split in half. Well, the room was split in half, and then half of the room was moving in fast forward. Everything was happening in fast forward, and half of the room was normal. But I've seen this numerous times with traffic, with people, all kinds of things. So Pete and Mike. Ooh, maybe we can bring up this. See if we can open up for us. Slowly building up. Also, if you guys want to follow through Twitch, feel free to do so. I would highly encourage it because it helps the channel on Twitch. See where we're at with it. I think I checked today, but it was it's Laser X83 on Twitch. If you want to go check it out, amazing. We're slowly getting up there. And yeah, it was kind of wild. What's up, April? Okay, let's see what we can get into today. Did you guys have the chance to watch any portion of that video that I shared that I said that when Carter shared it was great? Shared it on Discord. Pretty early today, yeah. What's up, Dark? Baguko. What's up, Mikel? Always so filled with good spirit. I appreciate the compliment. What time is it for you, by the way? Yeah, it's a great one, especially because a pretty young kid made this. This coffee is gonna be strong. Joshua Brown is in the house. Oh, you're in South Florida? Why did I think you're in Europe for some reason? Well, then we have the same time. Everybody doing amazing, Joshua. Thank you for asking. Yeah, same here. I don't know why I thought you were in Europe for some reason. Well, welcome everybody to Simulation Talk 240. It's getting up there slowly. If you guys want to follow, you can do it across all platforms. It'll be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram, Goller Danny on X, then Go Thoughts on YouTube, and LaserX83 on Twitch. And let me just put that here. You can check out the website. That is codeofreality.com. And you should or join our Discord community, which is listed both in the link tree on my TikTok page and on YouTube. On the main page. On the main page. Reality. There you go. Gotta change these. I'm in the future. Nice. Oh yeah, no. If you're in Australia, then you are in the future. In fact, you are literally in the next day, which is always wild to me. Does it have to be a red laser beam? No, we know that it can be any frequency. Why lasers is a good question. We don't really know. We're trying to investigate that question. But it can be any frequency. It's just that it's easier to spend time with the red one because it's low frequency. Come join our Discord. Come join our group. Let's see. Always looking for some things to pick up on. By the way, this is a conversation that recently came out in The Balanced Man. I really enjoyed it. It was really lovely. So if you haven't already seen it on Discord, post it there. I'll post it here. Oh my God, I have so many tabs open. There you go. It was a really nice conversation. Yeah, red is the lowest visible frequency of light because it's 650 nanometers. So it's the waves are pretty further away from one another. So it doesn't bombard your retina as much. 650 nanometers is red, but it doesn't matter. You can do any frequency. It's just that the red is the easiest to spend time with for longer. What is Stardew Valley? Wait. Ooh, that looks fun. I'm playing Polytopia and some chess. 650 nanometers. All this information you can find on codeofreality.com. You don't have to memorize any of this. Just go to codeofreality.com and you will find that information. Two hours? What does that mean? My camera is blurred? That's weird. It can only be because of reception, but the reception seems to be okay. So I'm not really sure why that would be the case. That is strange. Let's see. Camera seems to be okay. Full high definition. Yeah, everything seems to be correct. Not sure why that is. Oh, got it. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was a nice conversation. Again, anybody who's regular on this channel, you probably heard a lot of these points, but sometimes the vibe of the conversation is more of what is being said. 650, 50. You can look it up. Codeofreality.com is the website. Go check it out, and you can find it there. It's also in the link tree in the description. She's asleep. She's right here. No, but she's like napping. Oh, that's okay. But yeah. Discord, no. We're also on TikTok and X and Twitch. Using Streamlab currently. I have OBS, but I've never used it before. So maybe I'll set it up soon. But so far, StreamYard is working, so you know. Okay, let's see if we have any particular questions. What did I do? What did we do? Things are becoming wild. The internet is a wild place. I'm looking for some leads to enter conversations of value. Trying to do a little bit more targeted content versus just kind of meandering. But let's see what we can come up with. Has anyone replicated the 5 days of seeing the core besides you? Not that I know, but people do claim. In fact, somebody came the other day. I forget who it was. They said that they can now see the core on a regular basis after NN. I've heard this a few times now. I don't have a way to substantiate this, but I have no reason to doubt it either. So I would say it's possible. Oh, you're right, Charlie. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, show the breathing technique used before taking the spirit molecule. There's a recording I use, but you can basically do any Wim Hof recording, and it would basically be a simple 30 round inhale exhale, and then you pause. We can simulate one. If you guys want, we can actually do one round now. But basically, you inhale and exhale for 30 times. So you do it as assertively as you possibly can. So you go. So you do these for 30 times, and then you exhale at the end of the 30th, and then you hold with your lungs deflated for about 2 minutes. Now you can vary. The more rounds you do, the easier it becomes. So the first round I recommend to do either any time between 1 to 1 minute 45. You can start with 1 minute holding your breath, and then you inhale all the way. Then you hold for about 20 seconds, and then you exhale, and then you go again. And we do 3 of those in a row. We can do 1 round, absolutely. Let's do, just because I think that, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do it from my iPad. Let's see if I have access to the same files. Because I'm streaming on my iPhone. Let's see, files. Let's see if I have the same access. Breath work. There we go. All right, everybody ready? We're going to do 1 round. This is just one type of recording, but really it's just the Wim Hof method. So we're going to do a couple of just deep breaths just to kind of reset the energy. This is fun. You guys are ready? Okay, everybody can just sit down. Make sure you're not abstracted. So if you have tight jeans or belts, you might want to unbuckle that. Just relax. And one thing I would say is that make sure Can Cosmo see the code? We don't know. Maybe he sees it all the time. So make sure that if you're sitting even in a room with people, just let them know that that's what you're doing, because the point is actually not holding back. So when you're doing the inhale and the exhale, you can go the pace, natural pace in which it's rising, but make sure that you do it assertively. So don't be shy. Don't go like go all the way, inflate all the way, and exhale all the way. Do as much of that as you possibly can. And you might get a little bit lightheaded, but that's okay. That's normal. In fact, the more lightheaded you are, the better, because that means you're doing it right. This is why you might want to sit down or lay down. And again, when you exhale, make sure that you exhale all the way. Don't keep any air inside. So you're going to go. So this recording has, when you pause, I want to mention this. Hey, Nico, you came right on time to do some breath work. So join right in. What you want to do is when you exhale, the pause in the recording is going to be 1 minute 45 seconds. If you have to inhale before the recording says so, feel free to do so, but then don't skip that part. Inhale, but inhale all the way, fill your lungs entirely, and then hold for 20 seconds. So if you have to breathe before it says so, just go and hold at the top. Hold it at the top. And then after 20 seconds, exhale, even if you have to do it before. And then you can just wait. Okay? All right, everybody. Awesome. Maverick, good to see you. Joining from X. You don't have to breathe in through the nose. In recent years, Wim started saying that he thinks that it's better to do it through the nose, because he says that the system kind of registers breathing through the mouth with emergencies, so it creates more adrenaline. However, from both experience, and Wim himself used to say that, he used to say that it doesn't really matter as long as you get the air in. And I think, honestly, because if one of your symptoms is abstracted to any degree, it might be very difficult to go, So just to eliminate that, if the air comes in very easily, then just breathe through the nose, it's fine. But there's no problem breathing through the mouth. You can absolutely open your mouth, get as much air as possible. That's the point. All right. What's up, Nick? Good to see you. Here we go. The Netherlands, the home of Wim Hof. Perfect. Okay, everybody ready? So before we start, we're just going to take a couple of box breathings. So we're just going to inhale slowly, and I'm going to hold right away for about 5 seconds, and then exhale. I'm going to talk you into it, right? So we're going to inhale slowly, just gently. Hold. 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 And when you exhale, try and make a sound. So doesn't matter what sound you make, but let a sound come out. You'll see that sometimes it's even difficult, even if you're alone. Your brain stops you from making the sound. It's almost like it's like not comfortable for people. But if you let a sound out instead of just exhaling, it actually reduces a lot of stress, just so you know this. So we're going to do it again. Try and make that sound at the end. So we're going to inhale slowly. Hold. 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 And now exhale with a sound. Beautiful. Okay. So here we go. Everybody ready? Let's see that the sound is on. Okay, I think we're good. So we're going to play the recording. Here we go. It's going to start right away. You guys are ready? The second I'm going to reach 1, I'm going to count you in. At 1, inhale. All right? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Need more. Just 5 more. Last one. Now hold the breath out. Release into the retention where you disconnect the feeling of your thought processes and go into just being, and allow blood flow to descend into the deeper parts of your brain. Never forcing, just feeling. In the absence of thought, surrender to the acceptance and love flowing through you. Breathe in.
Everybody breathe in and hold.
Breathe out.
Breathe out. We're actually going to do 2 more rounds just to feel the full capacity of it. So let's go.
Need more. Just 5 more. Last one. Now hold the breath out. Breathe in.
Everybody breathe in and hold.
Breathe out.
Breathe out. Again. Here we go again. And yes, you want to open your chest as much as possible. So not just the chin, but also your shoulders back. When you inhale, and close when you exhale. Stop, Grandma. This is the last round. Give it your all.
More. Five more. Last one. Now hold the breath out. Breathe in.
Everybody breathe in and hold.
Breathe out.
Breathe out.
As your breathing
and now
returns
just
to
relax
normal,
for 20
in
seconds.
gratitude,
Just relax.
surrender your thoughts and be with the music.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining for this. Give it one moment. And by the way, if it made you sleepy, that is pretty common, actually. Bring your lips on. And that usually means your body needed rest, which is good. But I guess if you want to stay awake, then not as good. But that usually reveals what your body needs. A very similar thing can happen Oh, cool. I was trying to bring you on, Ellipsian, because I see that you were asking to join. Yeah. If you want to mute YouTube, because then I play in a loop. Uh, it, how are you? You gotta mute YouTube. You gotta mute YouTube.
Hold on.
Great. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna mute this for a second. All right. I hope everybody can still hear me. Let me know. Put it in the chat when you're done figuring it out, so we don't have it.
I had the YouTube and
Hold up. So I'm gonna mute you real quick. There we go. I gotta mute it. And then just unmute yourself. You're not blocked. It's just unmute. It's just muted. Found a secret of life. So I'm gonna sit TikTok every day and night. Yeah, there we go. No, not yet. Wait, why can't you just mute YouTube on your browser? But you can just close it for now. So basically, it happens with the spirit molecule too. Sometimes people would smoke it and they would get so sleepy, and that usually tells me that their body really needs rest. Perfect. Also, you can just close YouTube for now, and that would be, and then you can just stream on YouTube. Ah, Carter, love the breath work, and I'm glad that your body is buzzing. That's a good feeling. Right through the wire, basically. Calm and brave. That's a good description. Recording studio tomorrow, upload soon. That's awesome. Very excited about that. Oh, you exited YouTube completely and it keeps repeating itself. Are you on your computer? Are you streaming TikTok on your computer? Because then what might be happening is if it feeds, I don't know how it works on the computer, but it might be feeding into the same mic. Wait, you're on your phone and what I'm saying repeats on TikTok? That doesn't make any sense. This is an interesting occurrence. Okay. Yeah, try again. Jump on.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm so scared.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so we're good now, right?
Yeah. How are you?
Oh my gosh. I thought I exited the YouTube, but apparently it was still like working actively in the background.
Yeah. That's what it does.
Oh my gosh.
Have you been?
My bad.
You good?
I missed your meditation, but yeah. So
it's all good. You can always listen to the recording.
Hop on here.
There you go. So you're writing some new music?
Yes, sir.
That's exciting.
I'm going to the recording studio tomorrow, so hopefully I can upload a new song for you guys.
That'll be exciting.
I think you guys will like it.
All right.
It's got it's like Sybient bass, but like System of a Down vibes.
Nice. Is there gonna be is there like dubstep elements in it?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like, I don't know, I go back and forth. I have actually like trouble writing music because like sometimes I want to write house and then other times I just want to write dubstep and then I don't know, I get confused sometimes and then after a while I'm just like, well, whatever, who cares?
How do you write dubstep? Explosion, snares, dinosaurs, Transformers.
Well, it's not completely dubstep because I think I'm more into like Sybient bass, so it's not like super like rah, 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 like that. It's more like, I don't know, like taking like neural bass and then like kind of like stretching it in a way. It's
Yeah, yeah.
different.
No, I know what you mean. That's actually very exciting. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, so this one has vocals, so that's why I haven't released it yet, because I have a recording studio that like this guy, he's been working for like the music industry for like ever, like since like the 70s.
Mhm.
And he has like the best microphones. Like he records me on this microphone that I think was like $10,000. Like it's amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's so good. And like every time I try to record vocals from home, I'm like, no, I can't do it anymore. So I basically just write all my stuff at home, and then like if I do a vocal track, I go to his studio, and it sounds phenomenal.
Oh, I can
honestly.
only imagine. Yeah, that's amazing. So your vocals, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm excited about this.
Thank you. I'm so excited too. Oh, by the way, I got the laser on Amazon.
Yes.
So I couldn't. I would have bought the laser you guys already made, but like right now, no.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
No,
trying to
we
work
we
that
all
much.
we always say it's only if it doesn't break your bank. The
Yeah.
whole point of that is that's why we make it available, so people can always just buy the simple ones. Because
Yeah.
the point isn't, and also it doesn't really. It's actually more trouble than it is. Like if we would have a factory, that would be great. But like we just literally recently was Carter and his wife was making the laser, which I'm just in awe of him
Yeah.
and Ken, and they were doing incredible work. And we are working now on like some kind of a pipeline of of it going just directly through a manufacturer. So if you can only afford the one on Amazon, we even encourage that. it's a lot easier for us. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that you did. When is it supposed to arrive?
Tomorrow.
Awesome. And
So yeah, and then all the other supplies should be coming soon as well.
nice. But you also ordered on Amazon? They should
Yeah,
have
I
it on
got
Amazon.
that on Amazon too.
There you
Check
go.
out my Amazon shop, everybody.
You can always return it if it's like, hey, this only took me to the 5th dimension. I paid for 8 dimensions.
Yeah, what the hell? No. I think it should work. It should be good. But yeah, also, by the way, I don't know if you're interested, but so I know this guy, he basically rents out all his camera gear to like all the filming stuff that happens in Chicago, like all the big movies, all the Netflix things. He's
Dope.
the one that supplies all the cameras to them. So I told him, I'm like, hey, like, you should record me doing this thing. And he's like, okay.
Amazing. Boom.
Yeah, so yeah, he's down. He's like, he said, he was gonna message you. I don't know if he did. His name is Adam.
Do you know where?
I'm not sure, but either way, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
talk to him.
just tell them the best way to get my attention in a serious way
Yeah.
is through the Dango Pro X email. That's the one that I see immediately every day.
Because he might have. I don't know where, because I told him about you like maybe like a month or two ago, and maybe he messaged you on Code X Reality or whatever that one is.
You mean on Discord or
on
the website?
Probably that one email that's associated with your website. I'm
Oh,
thinking,
Laser
I'm
X, Laser Simulation X, that one.
possibly because
Yeah.
I've told him about you in the past, and he's like very, very interested, and he wants to like work with you.
Yeah, if it's work related, business related, Dango Pro X is the email.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Dango
I'm
Pro
gonna
X.
see him soon.
Yeah, let him
so
know.
I'll talk to him face to face and tell him.
Yeah, because if people like if it's on TikTok or Instagram, there's a chance I will never see a message. There's just too many messages.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
I got you.
but yeah, Dango Pro X, I will see it right away, and I will
Awesome.
definitely respond. Also, Oxtail Gravy, awesome. Also, special place in my heart for Oxtail, just because my extended family is Jamaican. So there you go.
Nice.
Wait, so you were born and raised in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I actually like Chicago a lot.
You
Yes.
should come out. I'll just show you around.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I have a good friend who's actually spending some time there now because they're shooting a show. And I told him that I might be. Yeah.
What's the show? I bet you he knows the guy I'm talking about.
He might. I think it's what is it called? What is the other? So there's the three body problem, and there's another big one that is happening.
I
It
don't
might
know.
be.
I'm not like super into.
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah,
me
like
neither.
that.
I don't really watch it. But yeah, if I'm in Chicago, I'll definitely hit you up. It might not be anytime soon because we have a baby on the way, so I gotta be,
Oh,
I gotta,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Congrats.
yeah. But
Life changing.
oh yeah, yeah. But eventually, I'm sure that we'll find a reason to go to Chicago. So I'll definitely let you know when I do.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, Chicago is really one of my favorite cities, especially in the summer.
Chicago's amazing in the
Yeah,
summer. I
yeah.
don't know if I'm gonna be here in the winter. I actually can't stand it.
Yeah, yeah. They say Chicago has two seasons: winter and construction.
Yep, that's true.
And
Actually, all the construction happens in the summer, and then you're like pulling your hair out because
yeah,
you're like,
that's what I'm saying.
fucking move.
It's really funny because I lived in LA for a long time, and people always complain about traffic in LA. I'm like, yo, you've seen nothing. Like,
Yeah.
if you like, I don't even know why that's not in the Guinness Book of Records. Chicago should be number one. It is
Dude,
by
it's
far the
so
craziest traffic.
bad.
I've once, it once took me. I'm not kidding. 3.5 hours to cross the bridge.
Oh my god. Are
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
serious?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It was like it was insane. Like it was like an inch an hour. I don't know. It's like whoa.
Wait,
Okay.
you're in Florida now, right?
Right now, yeah, but bouncing between East Coast and West Coast depending on what needs to be done for the movie.
Oh, okay. My dad's in Northport.
I actually don't know enough about Florida to
I
like
don't
know
either.
it.
All I
Yeah.
know it's by Sarasota
Okay.
and Venice Beach.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
what he said.
Nice.
So eventually I'll be
Allegedly,
there.
it's over there. Okay, got it.
Somewhere there.
Nice. Wait, I'm actually Persian. Just happen to love Jamaican food. Well, again,
We all love Jamaican food.
yeah, jerk chicken and oxtail. Amazing. Wait, so yeah, I'm super excited to hear that piece, whatever you're making. It sounds like it's gonna have the right vibe, the right thing. And if you're recording that thing with the guy, and it is a like a really good quality, Aaron might use it. I can't make any promises. Again, I'm not the driver of the film. Aaron is, but
All right,
something-
but you have a say.
I have a say, but not final line. So,
Yeah.
so
If I look like a fool, obviously it's not going to be.
it's not so much that is that there's a lot of components. One of them is that we literally have like so much material of people watching it. So it
Yeah.
has to do with
Okay,
and there's
okay.
only going to be a few like moments. But again, if you're going to do it anyway and you're willing to
Well,
record it that way,
Let me write some music for you, for real.
again,
I would love to do
you
something like
you
that.
email it to me. I'll send it to Aaron. Obviously, Aaron loves the fact that this project makes the artist kind of come out and play. So that might want him to incorporate it in some way, but it might
Yeah.
not go specifically with exactly what he needs. Then he might not use it. He might use it for
But
something else.
sometimes it's good to send like when you basically like score a documentary or like a movie. Like I've done this before. It's better for you to send like the clip that you kind of are like thinking like, hey, we need something for this, and then the artist like curates something that like encompasses that like
Yeah.
energy.
So we have a composer that is attached to the film that works on that. But again, I don't know what Aaron's strategy around that, but I'm gonna ask him, and I'm definitely gonna send him your piece, like 100%, just to see what he thinks.
Awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, Aaron is the final arbiter of these things, and I trust his creative process because he's probably like his genius is on another level. I'm just blown away by the fact that he's doing this.
That's
and I'm
amazing. So
yeah.
he's a composer. Like what kind of music does he write?
No,
Does he
Aaron is the
score,
director
or
of the
does
film.
he- Oh, he's the director of the film.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see, I
yeah.
see.
He decides everything.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. How is everything else in your life?
Well, I don't know. I told you stuff like all that stuff about my mom before, probably
Mhm.
a long time ago when we first met. So I'm kind of just like getting over that. Not getting over it, but like kind of finding peace with it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting a little bit more into writing music again and having more free time. And I'm gonna start a business possibly. So then I'm gonna quit my job.
Well, that's exciting. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the right time. The world is
Oh,
moving
if you
more.
ever want like a cool piece like epoxy art, I got you.
Yeah.
I could make you a cool galaxy.
Is that gonna be the business, making art?
So kind of. I got really into epoxy.
Okay.
And I realized that the only way to start a business is to actually do the flooring. So I'm kind of using the flooring thing as like something to kind of make my other art, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's something that most people need outside of just it being art, and you get to play with
Exactly.
epoxy. Yeah. Cool.
But you can still
That's a
have
really
a
good idea.
component of being creative. Because I work
Val
at a
says,
hospital right now,
fucking
which
love
is like,
epoxy.
it's cool, but like at the end of the day, it's like the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and you want to bring a little bit of a zhuzh into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love art, so I feel like I was supposed to be doing art.
Let's go. I mean, you're a musician, isn't that an artist?
Of course.
There you go. How long have you been making music?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been making music?
Honestly, like my whole life, but the different genres have, come and gone. So
Well,
I used to make a lot of like ambient, kind of like rock and like different like vocal bass or like singer-songwriter stuff. And then I got really into like going to shows, and like it opened my eyes to like, wow, this is actually what I need to focus on.
Interesting. So you found your niche by absorbing more. Wait, hold on. We have a lot of
keeping like your mind open for sure, but like, you know what I mean? Like you have to keep your mind open, because at first I just wanted to do everything like vocally based, and like that was all I really wanted. And then I realized like there's so much more to discover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, to Oxtail Gravy, it says I want to buy the laser from the core side for convenience. Will it ship to Canada? Yeah, we ship to Canada, but as you can see on the website, we have a bit of a delay just because of all the tariffs. It took a second to be able to actually have them ship the parts. We should, if I'm not mistaken, Carter can correct me here, but I think we should be able to start shipping again mid-June. So if you order now, you should be able to be getting it kind of like in the 20s, so 20th onwards, something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to support the project, by all means. Issues with INT shipping. Okay. But in either case, your money will never go to waste. If you pay the money and we have any issue or whatever, we'll just refund you. So nobody should be worried about that. Let's see. And the laser is, all that information is on codeofreality.com. Jerry. What's up, Kirsten? We've been having, oh yeah, okay, there we go. Awesome. So I'm super stoked to hear your piece. And is this something that you like? Are you familiar with the molecule at all? Have you done it before?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, cool. So I'm just making sure.
No, this is my first time.
Hey, it happens a lot. People want to do it for the first time. Yeah.
Actually, my first time was really interesting. I did it at my friend's house. I've done like mushrooms and stuff like that before, but I've never done that. And it was like literally like, okay,
but I
this
won't
is
do
different.
that. Okay, what?
I was just like thinking like, okay, this is different. And like I smoked it, and then I opened my eyes, and like geometric patterns like ran across the room. I'm like, oh shit. And then I closed my eyes, and like the jesters came, and they're just like, ah! And then they like did like this fractal and like welcome me into like, you know what I mean? But I've done Aya. I've done a bunch of stuff since then. So I've had some interesting stories. Like I've seen Mother Aya. She like came through like a tree appeared, and then like Mother Aya, like her eyes open, and she like welcomed me into her world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
and I got into like this sort of space where like time, I don't know, it was like a field, you know, like the Alex Gray kind of art where it's
Yeah.
not like the Alex Gray, like it's like a spatial field where like time and energy don't really exist. It's just like, I don't, it's like a grid almost.
Yeah,
And
and
I was
that's
like,
that's
was like-
that's a very similar thing to what you see in the laser. Actually, there's some kind of a like internal space that just extends forever. These like enormous columns of these self-executing codes. So it's just a much higher resolution version of what you usually see.
okay. Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Well, I'm
cool.
excited to hear you report it again. If you're going to record it in a high, like something that looks really nice, there's a much higher chance I think that Aaron would incorporate this in some form, especially if your music is going to be used. And just to make sure that you do have the right email, I know I said it a few times, but did you write it down? What my email is to send all this stuff?
I took a snap.
Okay, cool. Wait, I never wrote it down though.
I think you did it in YouTube yesterday.
I did. Okay.
Here, hold-
What's up, JH? Who else is here? Yoni's here. What's up, brother? What is it?
Dan Go Pro X at gmail.com.
Yes. Indeed.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, amazing. Well, awesome. We'll stick around. Let's see what we got. We'll
Yo.
get it.
Oh, by the way, I told you before about like my lucid dreams and whatever when I first kind of was in your chats,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling you about my lucid dream with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really like happy that you were talking about your experience with Jesus, because honestly, before then, I was like starting to doubt it. And that lucid dream that I had like reignited my faith. And I'm glad that you're like talking about that and like helping people. Like you really are helping people a lot.
Oh, I appreciate it. I don't know. I hope it's true. My aim is to try and help as much as I possibly can. But yeah, no, I see myself as an honest reporter, and I can't pretend like what I saw wasn't real, which is weird and seems unlikely for me to just see it for no reason. So yeah, I think
Right.
it's pretty clear
Yeah.
that's what's
Yeah, I
going on.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Well,
Like, because I was like, honestly, I was at a certain part of my life, I was like becoming atheist. And like I always had like these lucid dreams, but I still was like, whatever. And then I like started realizing like these lucid dreams weren't just lucid, they were actually like predicting the future. And like, even though I would doubt it, it would like still come true. And like, it was like very, very interesting, like speaking to family members that like passed, and like even my mom who just passed, like I spoke to her, she like showed me like so much stuff, and I was just like, I was so like consoled by it, you know. And so like hearing it from someone like you and like a lot of people, you know, you have a big platform, so I appreciate like, you know, you're inspiring people.
well, I appreciate the kind words. And it always feels nice to feel like what I do is appreciated, and hopefully the platform is going to keep growing, and we're going to keep helping more people.
For sure, definitely. I got you, dude.
Somebody says, "Oh, it's Val." She put a emoji of a goat. I said, "Jesus is the goat." Needs to be a T-shirt.
Oh, by the way, Ebony is awesome.
Ebony's amazing.
Guru is awesome. All your moderators, they're so awesome, dude. Like seriously,
Yeah.
they got your back so hard.
Oh, I know. I feel very
They're
lucky.
so
Chris
good, dude.
Chris as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Definitely.
building like such a good team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow, so many great compliments.
For sure. Why not?
Why not? Exactly. Do you? By the way, do you live in the city, like in Chicago proper, or
I
right
used
outside?
to, but right now I live at my mom's old condo now. So I'm in just outside the city, like 30 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, Chicago is really nice. There was a really funny story. Even though it kind of downplays Chicago to a second place, but still, it was just really funny. I was sitting in the bar in Chicago, and there was this not older, but maybe like a 50-year-old guy. But I was in my 20s, and we're talking about all kinds of things. And he's like, "Yeah, I lived in New York for a long time, and I've now been in Chicago for like 15 years." And we started talking about like the differences.
Yeah.
New York, Chicago is cleaner, all that jazz. Everybody are always saying the same things, right? And then he goes on this like tirade of all the differences, and he has all the one-liners. And then he goes, "Here's I'll summarize it for you. Chicago is the perfect city. It's perfect. But New York, it's just better." Go like, oh, okay. I'm like, wait. All right, that one I didn't see coming. It's nice. But
Chicago can be expensive, but New York is like 10 times more expensive.
yeah,
so
no, I
don't
think what
know
he meant
about
is that New York has more of the New York. It's New York.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
always something is always happening. But I love Chicago. I absolutely love the city. It has a lot of really beautiful energy, and it is one of these like leviathans of a place. Like it's so big and there's so much to explore, and I love that. There's something about building vertical that I'm always very attracted to.
Yeah.
I always say there's a lot of people that they love nature and they just want the city at a driving distance.
Yeah.
I prefer to be in the city with nature in the driving distance. The city energizes me. I like the city a lot.
Yeah,
That's why
the city is fun. There's always something to do. There's so many
Yeah.
shows in Chicago. Like the music industry and like music life is so good here.
Well, actually, I don't know enough about the music life there, but so that's like a big scene. South Dakota.
Yeah, for sure. Like Amazing House. Like House was created in Chicago. So there's Amazing House. Like dubstep is crazy here. There's Glitch. There's Sybian. There's so many different. Like if you know the promoters, you know where to go. And like I know like all the promoters. So
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like we have it made if we're visiting Chicago.
yeah, for
Let's
sure.
go. Let's go. Wait, what are we saying? It's the most commonly reported religion, so I'd say it's not Jesus, but more Indian gods. Yeah. So just to give you, I'm not going to go into details today, but essentially, what Ellipsian is referring to is that I had a vision in which it was kind of like shown how things really are. So I'm sure that there's some place to all the postulated gods from all over the world, but for all intents and purposes, they showed me that Jesus is like, this is it. This is the correct thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was weird because I never invited this. That's not one of my interests. It was never something that I was talking about or interested in, or like none of that, which is strange. So I feel obligated to report that honestly. So they were basically saying, no, it's Jesus. It's not the other things you think. So it's Jesus. And I was like, all right, well, I guess it is what it is. And maybe it's just a thing that we need to truly align ourselves around. That also makes sense to me, just because it might be the most effective in a short period of time for whatever humanity has to go through now, maybe.
Yeah.
But then if it is the thing that we have to align ourselves around, then it is the thing we have to align ourselves around. Maybe it's that the other ones are not as easily exported. So like the beliefs in the other gods, they don't really put you in the right state fast enough. And maybe that's the thing. I have no idea, but I'm just kind of reporting honestly.
I think it's because Jesus,
it is shocking.
He was one of us. You know, he was a normal man. So he is the light out. Like he's like, you know what I mean? Like that combining connector, because he came to earth to be a normal, humble human being.
Yeah. Only the extra belief is that he was actually God embodied, which is pretty radical.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But he experienced what it was like to be like one of us.
Yeah.
So like
exactly. He wanted to experience He wanted to experience human suffering directly, to see what it's like to actually be a human and suffer the ultimate pain. Thank you, Galactic. And a friend of mine who's a philosopher explained to me that if you follow the actual and I didn't even know this, and again, I don't know enough about this, so somebody's gonna like correct me on this, but from at least what he explained to me is that if you look at just canonical like the Bible as it is, like just not. He said it's not like an extravagant extrapolation of the Bible. He said this is just mainstream belief that most people just don't actually understand that that's what it actually is saying. But he basically said, which to me is like actually the most radical part about the teaching, the Christian teaching. But he said that for these 3 days, there was no God. And I said, wait, what? He said, yes, that's the implication, because Jesus is God, embodied, but he is God. So if Jesus was being resurrected for 3 days, there was no God for 3 days. And I said, are you sure? And he goes, yes, that is what it actually implies. And I said, okay, if that's true, that's crazy. Like, think about it. Like, he was literally saying there was just no God for 3 days. So atheists were right for 3 days. And then,
I never heard that.
yeah. So I don't know if I just like little twists on things that are very surprising. So obviously I like it in that regard. I don't know if that's what Christians actually mean to say, or any denominations actually believe this. I have no idea. So spare your angry comments. I don't know. I'm just reporting. But also, it's if there's any truth to it, that's crazy. That I don't know why, because most of my life I never really believed in God either. So, but something about that, just if you do believe that God is real, then believing that there is no God for 3 days, it's almost like there's no universe for 3 days. It's just such a radical thing. Plot twist, yeah. Nothing would exist without source. Well, maybe it has momentum, just kind of like a thing in the middle spins and you stop it for 3 days, it still spins and then it catches on. What is your thought? What are the thoughts on connection of the code and divinity realms? I think it's obviously executed by the divine realm. So like eventually the code is probably how all of reality works according to the rules that were set up by the Almighty. And there's levels of this, of course. But the truth is that I have no idea. I don't have the first clue. And we'll find out slowly but surely. Plot twist, Jesus is just character storyline in a VR headset. No, what I was shown is that he is definitely... And another surprising thing about that was, and I know you're joking, but it's just making sure that it's clear. What was... Cosmo, let it go. What was extra surprising about this? What do you want, Booba? Want to say hi to people? No? Wait. He always hides his face. Say hi. Yes, I love you too. So the other thing was that, wait, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Jesus and something sounds like a name of a band. Jesus and the chords.
That Jesus was real, a real entity.
Right. Oh yeah. So the one. Thank you. So one thing that was made clear to me in that instance is that he did not, because a lot of people believe this today, right? They're trying to reconcile Christianity with more modern ways of thinking about spirituality, and one of the ways in which people do that is that they say, well, Jesus meant to say he is the Son of God, but so are you. So what was made clear to me that is not the case. Jesus was not trying to say that you are too. You are not. So at least that's what was made clear to me, that there's a big difference between God embodied, which is Jesus, and human beings. It's a different thing. So we are made in the image of God. We are made in many ways. We reflect a lot of godlike properties that we can embody, but it is not correct to say that you are God. You're not even on a trajectory to become God. You're not. That's what was made clear to me. You can be in the presence of God, but not become God. That's not something that is open for humans, basically. Which again, maybe seems like a not really an important detail, but for some reason this stood out to me as a very important detail.
I think that's super important because a lot of the people with like New Age religion, they kind of think that they have a saying like you are a part of God, but a lot of these people that are like really into New Age religion, they start thinking that they are God.
Yeah. And again, I'm totally open to whatever in fact is true, but at least what was made clear to me in that instance that is the truth, which is that what
Yeah.
humans are is a very different kind of thing than gods. Like we're not.
But
Yeah.
but there's something messed up with like New Age religion because they're like so against like ego or whatever, but then they start saying like you are God, you can do whatever. And then there's like a part of them that like they decide that they're so important that no one else around them matters. I've seen so many people get like so into new age religion that they will just say like F you to like everyone around them and be like, I'm better than you, kind of. Not like I'm better than you, but like your problems don't matter to me because I'm a god and like I don't need your bullshit in my life. So see you later.
Yeah, it's a
And
very
I-
there's definitely
Yeah,
some of these
that's true.
narcissistic traits there. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And it's like, it's interesting. It's like, because they're all about killing their ego. But then I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, one of your biggest things about your like spirituality or religion is like super like ego based. So,
Well, very often it can be very judgy, for sure. One thing that I think, and this is again, I'm going to keep raving about this video that Carter shared with me a few days ago in the next few nights, because I encourage everybody to watch it. I shared it on Discord, something that Carter shared with me. Wonderful, wonderful video made by this kid, which made me extra happy because the fact that somebody who is that young thinking that deeply tells me that humanity has a really good chance. If this is the new generation, I'm so happy about that. So that video that, again, if you go on Discord on the YouTube channel, you see it's the last thing that Dango, I've shared. But the premise there is basically that there is these two attractors. It's done really well, so I still recommend you guys watch the full thing. But basically, there's these two attractors that everything's kind of oscillating between, which is the order and freedom. So these are the main attractors that people are attracted to as operatives in society. And then they both can metastasize into pathological versions of themselves if you put too much energy into each one of them. So freedom will become chaos if you let it run too much. And what is it? The second one is structure. What did I say? It was a structure or something? Order, sorry. Order becomes domination and control, right? I used a different word, but that's essentially what it becomes. Oppression. Thank you, Carter. So order becomes oppression. And what happens in society, this is what we're talking about, the four turnings, right? Where people always cite this because you have, time of peace leads to weaker people, that then leads to turmoil, which then leads to a war, which then leads to harder people, which then leads to an easier world, and then the easy world once again gives this rise. So, you go to the 50s, and nobody wanted to hear about war. Everybody just wanted to go home to their wives and just go to the factory and live a quiet life. And then people felt like the government kind of starts having too much order, so they started oppressing people in a very quiet way. So then people rebelled and they wanted to go towards freedom, like the hippies and things like this. And then eventually it becomes chaos, which is kind of what you see now. And that because it's too much freedom, it's just like anything goes. I don't care. Like I'm a cucumber. I'm a cucumber. It's like, okay. So then things become crazy, right? And then once again, you're going to have the corrective mechanism trying to pull you again towards order. And that is an infinite loop, basically. It keeps oscillating. So what he's saying in the video, he's saying, well, the only way to make it sustainable is if we find a third attractor, something that can kind of hold both of them and operate towards like a greater thing. And the case that he makes there is very specific because he talks about the way that the new media works and how the old way of communicating to one another, person to person, held this very unique moment of inspiration that you don't get when you just communicate through mass media, because you don't have the direct interaction and it's not informed by the immediacy of the moment, because there's something very unique about the communication face to face, because you have to be informed by the instance aside from the things that you want to say. But when you do it through a mass medium like social media and all that stuff, that instance is gone because you get your own like ideas. You kind of really operate with yourself and not in front of somebody who you have to inspire. So it becomes these echo chambers, and it just amplifies any signal. There's no really discernment of what kind of signal it amplifies. If it amplifies a signal well, that's the only criteria by which it's going to be moving through the system. But what he suggests is, if we think of the system as a series of nodes, the nodes in this case are us. So if you can change the nodes themselves from amplifying any signal to amplifying only inspirational signals, then you're going to get a system that's basically going to suppress any symbol, any communication that is not inspiring, that is not, and in order to be inspiring, it has to be inspired by the present moment. Now, he offers some mechanisms to do that in the video, and this is why I recommend you guys actually watch it. But what was interesting is that he was talking about this perception that incorporates, so it incorporates order and freedom in such a way that when you allow the ultimate order to dictate things, then it's not oppression, but it actually promotes the most freedom for everybody. So you basically go through the universal order and you end up with everybody's freedom. And if you think about it, that's really what God is. It's the universal order. So if we think of God, I guess, in the old way in which we used to kind of resist religion, which is, oh, it's just a way of controlling humans, which on a human level, it might be. But the mistake that was being made here, and the baby that was thrown with the bathwater, was that on a divine level, that kind of order is not there to oppress you, is there to get you to a certain level of functioning from which, as a collective, you're going to generate the most freedom for everybody automatically, just because you follow that universal order, because that universal order sees everything from way above there, and it knows what is the best way to do things. And you can talk about it in terms of karma and the Eastern traditions, and you can talk about it in terms of the Western tradition and Jesus Christ. But it seems so all of that being said, it was confusing to me as to why I was shown something so like arbitrary. Like, why did they choose the correct version that humans need to kind of follow if all of it is up for grabs? And apparently it's not all up for grabs, or at least not right now. Like, there might be like a decisive moment right now that requires a very fast decision making, that because Jesus is already installed on so many minds, maybe that's the reason, I don't know, that it will be the most effective to literally engulf everything in the right way of being, so people can kind of move to the right way of functioning. But I found it very interesting in the sense of that order is not necessarily a bad thing, neither is freedom, but when you run both of them to extreme versions of themselves, they become pathological, which is essentially exactly what you're saying. And in order to stop oscillating, we have to allow ourselves to not be so connected to our ideas about these things, but being, again, inspired by the present moment as it appears right now, so we can get inspired together and inspire one another, and also be the kinds of nodes that are encouraging this kind of communication between one another, and suppressing the other one. The second you hear a lot of this kind of like, no, it's this or it's that, it's like, okay, it's not even. The second you start fighting back, you're creating more, you're amplifying the signal of the fighting. But instead of fighting, you go like, okay, I heard you, I'm not interested, and then just face somewhere else and go like, and then just like, hey, but if somebody speaks in a certain way that is, you can see by their facial expression, you can see by their aura, you can see by the way they express themselves that they're inspired, you go, oh, interesting. Okay, I love that. So let's amplify this. Even if I don't necessarily agree with the specifics that are being said, it's the way that is being communicated that you allow it to move through the system. The system can explore possibilities that might not even be correct in the moment, but just the way that it glides through the system is a lot more holistically, and it's not trying to make sharp turns and dictate what things are. It's exploring it in real time. As Zoltan famously says, we're not explaining, we're expressing. I found this to be very, very helpful. And if there's anything we can do to help amplify these kind of symbols and put light on this kind of communication, I would highly recommend that we do that. And also, it feels better in the body. And actually, let me share. I'm going to share it here on YouTube again. Boom. Let me do this. History. There it is. Share. Copy. And again, this really goes down to the core of what I'm always saying with movements that are, even if you think they're justified, the second the movement is against something, it will always run into these infinite loops of pathology, because it's being against things is easy, does not require thought, and it's almost like what happened to you in the beginning with the sound ellipsion, with the feedback loop. It amplifies itself to such an infinite degree, which then creates this almost like a bubbling soup of infinite aggression. So it doesn't matter, even if you think you're resisting something that is you believe is justified to resist, like this whatever it is that you think needs to stop, if the way you're going about it inside is having this anti attitude towards it, is like, I'm going to stop it. So the second you do this collision thing, what stays with you is the emotion. So even after you stopped whatever that was, the emotion inside of you continues. So if the emotion you promoted inside yourself and in your immediate environment, where the part of the movement that you are is this resistant energy, the energy will want to keep going. The energy is decoupled from the goal. So the energy of resisting this venom like emotion will stay with you, and you will find new causes to resist all the time. But you will never stop resisting. You're constantly resisting, which is, again, this is how pathology happens in a movement. If you're working towards building something, we are for this. Notice that in any instance of anything, even things that you believe that you want them to stop, you can still work towards that goal by being for something. You can say, I am for promoting this. Like, I want, if you believe that there's an injustice, I always give the example of the gay rights movement because it was a perfect example of this. When it was happening, the injustice was that gay people were discriminated against. They were not allowed to do a lot of things that straight people were allowed to do in society, and treated as second grade citizens. So the movement could have technically acted out of anger and say, we're going to resist the injustice of the government against the gay people, right? But notice what they did. They worked for gay rights. They're trying to build something. They want to achieve gay rights, right? And that is a very different kind of movement, because it requires thought, planning, and understanding. Without that, you just have this like, which is what essentially example of where it metastasized to something pathological. Women's liberation movement was a very important one, right? But then it metastasized to a movement that largely hates men, against anything male. The idea of a patriarchy, all that stuff that we're all very familiar with, that's a negative idea. Not in the sense of like the idea itself is negative, it's in a negative vein. It wants to resist something, right? And that it is creating a pathology that you can appreciate for yourself. When it's for something, it achieves something and it puts it down, because, okay, we've achieved it. Now we can think further. When you're resisting something, the resistance is a very powerful emotion that's very easy to do. A Jenga tower, solving it is very difficult. But if you just want to knock it down, that's very easy to do. It's like one motion. You don't have to think about it at all. Anybody can do it, right? It doesn't require thought, so it doesn't require the same amount of attention. And it's also more satisfying, because when you feel frustrated, it's the most satisfying thing to just go like, you know what? Screw it all. Like, that's the easiest thing to do. But if you have a society that builds that, watch people's faces. Any face that does this a lot in a movement, it's just bound to fail, just by the nature of it, because you're not thinking, you are aggressing. It's a very different kind of thing. So we want to notice this in ourselves. How can we reframe everything we're doing in terms of what are we for versus what are we against? And you can still work towards the goal that you believe is important. You don't have to drop the goal. You just need to think, what are you actually trying to achieve? This is what happens when people are resisting certain things, and then they say, well, this needs to stop. And you go, okay, do you have a suggestion? I don't need to give a suggestion. I just want it to stop. Well, that's literally like a 5-year-old that just stumping the ground, being capricious and being just like, hey, I don't want it. I'm like, okay, but you're an adult. Help think about it, right? And if you can't grapple with the facts on the ground that gives rise to the situation that you believe that needs to stop, then you not only are not part of the solution, you are actually adding another problem on top of the previous problem. And it's something that, unless we're going to start noticing in ourselves, it will never change. But luckily, it does seem like people are starting to realize that there's a better way to frame all these things and look at them and actually address these things. Exactly. Part of it, I agree that a lot of it, Willow, is part of it is trauma. Absolutely. Dressing up in rainbow and parading around. Not gonna do any good. Yeah. But if you're talking about like pride, parade, I think that's wonderful. If you're celebrating something, that's great. That's for something, right? I actually have no problem with that whatsoever. I think that's beautiful. I think it's amazing. But if you parading against something, again, I want you to notice this. Like from now on, I want to plant the seed in your head. Just watch that. No matter how much disagreement there is on any discussion, political, geopolitical, world events, whatever it is, notice that there's two sides of the argument. They're not always the same. There's sometimes movements that are trying to say, here's what we believe needs to be remedied. Here's how we propose to remedy. We are for this thing that we believe can remedy it. The other side sometimes says, no, we don't care. We just want this to stop now. And then they're against the thing, completely ignoring that there's a reason why things ended up where they did, right? And that is, of course, again, childish, capricious, and truly unsustainable. It's not, if you imagine from the perspective of a civilization that is about to embark and depart into the stars, that's not an attitude that belongs in such a civilization, or that civilization simply never leaves its planet. It simply doesn't go hand in hand. You're not gonna take the ground stumping people with you on a journey that you're gonna have to solve serious big problems in real time, and you don't have time to worry about people who are just like being in it for themselves, being conniving, being just think about in terms of how they appear versus what in fact is really virtuous and how you're actually helping the situation. We just need to mature as a society, and the only way we do that is if we first personally notice it in ourselves, find ways to eradicate that kind of attitude in ourselves, and watch it everywhere you find it. Do not follow any movement that is against something. Do not do it. No matter how much you feel it feels good, don't do it. There's no end to this that looks good. You can fight for all the causes that are correct by asking yourself, what am I actually for, and what is it that I want to see that can happen that actually help the situation. It requires more nodes in the system to pay attention to what are actual possible solutions versus an eradication of situations. What's up, Halloween? Woohoo! Good evening, good evening. That's a great one. Hold on. I gotta pee real quick. Hey, Bucci. Good to see you, Halloween. My mom has TDS. What? Oh, Trump derangement syndrome. It's hilarious. Let's see. I'm gonna look at some of the comments before we jump off. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying, Jackie. I'm a lesbian. Exactly. I always say it's, everything is always in context, right? So I always say certain attitudes in the world are important at particular times. Thank you so much for joining Ellipsium, by the way. At particular times. So, for example, signaling a particular kind of identity might be important for a certain period of time to say, again, I'm always going to go back to the gay movement, gay rights movement, because it was a perfect example how everything was delivered exactly how it needed to be in a successful movement for something that was wrong in society. Okay, so what happened there was that you had the situation where gay people were really marginalized and also kind of like looked down at and even like physically attacked for just being who they are, right? That's wrong. That is objectively wrong. Okay, so you had a situation where a lot of people decided that they're gonna almost like mark their own behavior, so they're gonna start behaving a lot like much more in a feminine way, like on purpose, right? Where you get this kind of like a like a gay way of being, right? That kind of thing, which now today is kind of people like using it as either as a slur, but we know that's real, right? Some people are just like very flamboyant. Okay, now by the way, we know that that's not real because people who are like that and they wake up from anesthesia, they don't have that. They don't remember they're supposed to be doing it yet, and then they go back to it. But they're just talking like a normal person. They don't talk like that. So whatever you think, that we know just from that's an acted behavior, right? Now there's nothing wrong with that, but why it's being done is important. So like in the time that society kind of like oppresses this kind of a thing, behaving more like that to say, you know what, I'm not going to succumb to any of your bullshit, I'm going to behave even more like that and screw you, that's justified. Not only is justified, it's effective, it's good. They're saying, you know what, nuh-uh, we're going to behave however we want to behave, and you're going to treat us as equals. That is a very important part of that evolution. However, if you have today where people insist that still the situation, if anybody still insists that the situation with how gay people are treated in most of the Western world is still the same, they're mistaken. That is not true at all. That's, nobody cares. It's like normal person, right? So if you now do this thing, which is very performative, it's like you get being like extra flamboyant, all great. But if you're doing it in people's faces on purpose for no reason, like in front of kids, like, it's like if you're doing it just to be in people's faces, you have a problem. You're fighting with something inside of yourself that doesn't exist outside of you. Like people don't care, and you're doing it just in spite of nothing, right? And that is already a pathological behavior. There's something inside that needs to be remedied to stop that behavior. So the point is that the fact that you belong to a particular kind of inclination, predispensation, whatever it is, doesn't mean that you have to necessarily act it out when there's nothing outside that tells you that you can't do it. Again, you can do it, of course. Nobody's saying that you can't. It's just that there's a pathological situation there. Like there's something else going on. They're fighting a boogeyman that no longer exist. And if you take this example and you extrapolate it out, you notice that there are real ills in society today that do need to be addressed, that on the one hand, you want to address it in a way of, first of all, thinking about how you do it and then being for that. And secondly, there are certain behaviors that you might want to express that are showing exactly who you are in terms of the thing you're for. But if your identity and your behavior is arranged around eradicating something else, and like for the sake of eradication, like the attitude is destroy this thing, you now emanating the venom that you were fighting to eradicate. You are now becoming the thing that you hate, which which actually, this is exactly what Carl Jung's shadow is, which is that you project the things that you can't handle in yourself outwards onto somebody else, and you then view them as that enemy that you just need to address inside yourself. This is a very difficult thing to do. It's a real hero's journey. But if we are to proceed to the next level of what humanity wants to do, we owe it to the grid to do that, each and every one of us individually. Constantly catch ourselves like, okay, where am I doing that? Where am I just needlessly hating on other people, needlessly criticizing things that I really don't need to criticize because it has nothing to do with what in fact is going on? What is like, where am I doing this? Because the easiest thing to do is to point a finger somewhere, right? Yeah, so I if there's anything I can encourage more than anything, it would be that kind of attitude. It's clearly the issue, very hard. I don't mean to even do it, but I do it. Try, yeah, because it feels good. It feels good to judge others. Let's be frank, right? It feels good to gossip. It feels good to like, ooh, did you hear this thing? Oh, they're so like, I do it all the time. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, this is dumb, and then I catch myself and I go, oh, I'm dumb. Okay, like it happens all the time. The point isn't to never do it. You're gonna do it. There's no way around it. The point is to notice as much as you possibly can when you do it, and then try and like walk back and like, okay, next time it happens, I'm going to catch it earlier. I'm just going to hold my tongue. I'm not going to do it. And then it actually becomes a lot easier to also be compassionate with people from that state, because the second you start discovering how much of a piece of work you can be sometimes, it's easier to look at somebody else who's doing something that on the face of it you would be judging, and then go, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, I know how I can see myself sometimes maybe doing that given the right circumstances. And it's easier to actually have compassion for that. So the point isn't necessarily, people go, the gotcha era is an all-time high, right? Especially because spirits riding high. So with everything that's going on in politics and this and that, people constantly do this thing where they're just waiting for their moment to be right and do everything they possibly can to think of all the versions of the explanations, how to explain away something if it makes them wrong. So if they were supporting this politician or that action or whatever it is, if something happens in the world that shows that thing to be either correct or incorrect, which means it's either going to vindicate you or it's going to make you look like a fool, you automatically run to like, okay, first, a lot of people like immediately something would happen and they'll be the first ones like, see, I told you so. Here it is. I told you. Okay. Or like they immediately work out all the details of how they're going to explain away this thing that they thought was true and now they discover it's not true, like just to protect their own egos. If we can just diffuse this tendency, which is like, hey, it doesn't matter if you supported this, like in the moment, right? For example, you thought that somebody really known and famous was evil. Like Elon is a perfect example of this, right? Or Trump, or like anybody who's like a polarizing character. It doesn't really matter. And then something happens, and then it's almost like you're like, they do something, and you go like, oh, see, it's like the lack of charity and the lack of grace that we give each other. It doesn't matter that somebody's more powerful. It makes no difference. They're a person, right? So they're experiencing a lot of probably stress and amount of strain that nobody can understand on sight unless they are themselves in such a position of power. And then it's actually not that crazy or surprising that every once in a while, or even very often, they would do something that to everybody else looks like something very radical, or say something that is very radical. The amount of stress involved is just that alone, right? So even though it's somebody who you would imagine, oh, they can handle it. They're like, they have all the money in the world. They have all the power in the world. None of this actually protects their psychology. It's actually exactly because of that we should have more compassion for them, not less. They're in a position that most people can never understand. Either you agree with their actions or not. What you can do as a part of healthier member of society, you want to extend the same branch of compassion that you would to somebody who falls on the street to somebody who has to experience the amount of stress that you can't even comprehend. So you don't have to agree with their actions or policies or whatever it is, but extending that branch of compassion to them will do something for you as a person, because you're practicing to do it more, and therefore it will help humanity as a whole, because you're going to raise kids that going to feel that from you, this kind of attitude, instead of the yelling and the screaming and the pointing. And you create a better layer. And by the way, you can still be like that and completely disagree with someone and act accordingly. If you believe that policies needs to change, that you can enter politics, you can do a lot of effective things, and you will probably be a lot more effective, because you would be a more effective communicator. You would be more there you go. You'd be more resolution driven versus blaming driven, finger pointing driven. Like, actually, what can be the resolution? Okay, yes, I don't agree with this, but what can be the resolution? And then imagine just voicing the resolution. It's like, hey, did we try to do this? Like, if it's a good idea, people are gonna take it. But it's very difficult to think of good ideas when you're so busy being angry. So on all the fronts, you would win if you do it more and more often. So again, having more compassion towards everybody, including the people that you think don't deserve it, is the only way to stop this barrage of blaming and finger pointing and feeling righteous about things that you really have no business of feeling righteous, because you're not responsible for either the plus or the minus in that equation. But just bringing more of that into your daily routine, into your daily attitude. This is something that I think we should all aspire to do more and more. All right. And especially if we're talking about Jesus, that would be definitely what Jesus would do. All right, guys, with that, I will adjourn for the day. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to follow me across platforms, thank you, Galactic. It will be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. You'll be Goller Danny, just swap them on X. You'll be LaserX83 on Twitch. And you'll be Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Come follow us. Join our Discord, which you can both find on TikTok in the link tree and on YouTube on the main page, third link from the top. You can join the membership program on YouTube, which gives you access to weekly lives, aside from these daily lives, in which this is for members only. We dive deeper into videos, we watch videos, we talk about things, we read papers, we discuss all kinds of scientific things, talk about aliens, do all kinds of fun things, much more in depth. Those usually happens on Sunday, and that members program gives you access to that, as well as all the past members' lives, of course. Gives you early access to all my content, gives you access to private clips from my life that will exist nowhere else but on YouTube members. And second tier and up of the membership program also gives you access to Zoom calls with me once a month, which are a lot of fun, and I really appreciate them. And of course, you're helping the project. You can also go to the store, to codeofreality.com, both find all the information in the lasers we're making, and or get our merch, which currently what you're going to get there is a limited edition, is going to be collector's item, because they're not going to exist anymore, because it has the old logo on it, and we have a new one, and this logo will not exist anymore. I actually really love it, but we can't use it because these symbols belong to somebody, so we can't use it. But you can have this, and you can say, I have one of these early shirts of Code of Reality that do not exist anymore, and very cool. There's also the mug that you can get with the old logo. Woo! Have you seen the code? So, and it will be helping the project. So I appreciate you guys for all of that. I appreciate deeply our wonderful, amazing moderators, Ebony and Chris and Jessica and Guru. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Incredible. My partner, David Carter, who is an absolute powerhouse in all the ways. Thank you, brother. Much love to you. And Christina and Ken. And all the community members that are always coming, making this what this is. Thank you, Halloween. Mike, thank you. Ellipsian, excited to hear the music. Thank you, Jackie, Willow, Roots, Val for always making us laugh. Terry, love you, brother. Don't know if you're still listening. I appreciate you all, Yoni. And if I'm not mentioning your name, apologies, but you know that I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Cross platforms, give us a like across all platforms. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao. See you guys. What is that? A new achievement of some sort. Woohoo! Have a good night, guys. Love you all. Chris, much love, brother.